everyone. In this video we will go through graphical user interface in Java. So we'll create a basic application. The idea is just to demonstrate and show you how it works. So you need to understand the concept, and we will create just this basic application that calculate insurance. You have done this multiple times. Insurance example, you are familiar with that. So if the user enter an age of 60 or above and click on calculate, it will say the insurance is 500. If I put less than that, say 50, it will say insurance is 300. Okay, that's what it is. This is a very simple application. So it has a frame, they call it in Java frame, and the frame has a title. This is the title of the application or the frame, insurance calculator. We will give it any name we like. There are few components on the page. One is a label. Enter your age is a label. Then we have a text field. This one is a text field. We have a button that you click on it to perform the actions and do the calculations. And they have an area, text area, to display the result. And as you can see, the data appearing one after the other in a flow format. Yeah, it's not there are different type of layout in Java. So this one, the basic flow format, means if I add any component, it will come here. Another component will come here. Until it finished, it will start from the other line. There are other format, grid, and things which we can look at it later. So how we can create such application? So let's start by creating a new application. I'll call it here. We will go to Java. I'm using ResultArea. You can use anything you like. So GUI example, I'll call it. Okay, so I'll make it public and then we start. So as you know, ResultArea will first thing do, it will create for us a class called main class and with a main method in it. Leave this main method aside. So what we need to do, we need basically to create those components on the screen. But before creating those components, we need to use something already exists in Java. So simply we cannot build everything from scratch. So the frame, the button, the text field, those coming from a Java library. And we need to start to know what are those Java libraries. So the first one is what we call it Swing. And we need to import that library. So we'll say import Java X. Remember this X because the Swing has that X dot swing dot star semicolon. So what is really Swing? Swing is a library that has so many components. You have a text field, you have image, you have many components there. So these components are already built. They are classes or packages in Java that we just need to create object of those packages and then or those classes and add them on the screen. It has a layout manager. As I said, the layout we use is the flow layout. So that layout will help us place the components on the screen the way we want them to appear. And it has an event handler. So when the user click on calculate, that's an event. And what will happen when the event occurs, that's again is important service available within the Swing. And it has nice look and feel and graphics and different components that we can use on the screen. Is Swing the only thing we need? No, we need another package. We call it Abstract Window Toolkit. So let's go and import it. We need to import it in our application. So let's import. This is just java.awt. These are ways of creating windows and some other basic component. This is by default is in Java, so you just need to import it. Now when we import AWT, we need to import with it the action events and action listener, those specific classes that handle the actions and listen to the actions, wait for the user work. So the first one we need to import is java.awt. I will go to a specific package called event, and from the event we will take the action event semicolon. So this is a specific class we have imported. Another one is the listener. So the action event is the one who take care of the action, but the listener is the one wait for the user to take an action. So we need both of them. So java.awt.event.action listener. Here is it. Okay. That's it. So now we imported those libraries, and this I think what we need at the moment. Now our class cannot be just like that, because this one is just not using any of Java graphical user interface. We wanted to extend something called JFrame, which actually the main class in Java that handle graphical user interface. So this will help us have the user interface. So far, if we run our application, we will just get hello world, because we have not created the components, the label, the text field, the button, and the text area. We didn't create those things. So we need to create them. Before creating them, we need to declare them. So we'll have them all private. So do encapsulation. So we'll say Java label. This is for the label. That's we'll say enter your age or put your age or what is your age or whatever we want to call it. And this one we will call it age label, because this application using the age is mostly. We can call it age, we can call it anything we like to call it. But we need to just be consistent and continue using it later in the right place. So we basically created a label using the label data type class in Java Swing, and then we give it the name label. Okay, let's create now another one, private. We need what? We need a text field where we enter the results. So JTextField. It's easy to remember those names. They pop up quickly. But if you start with capital letter and every other word capital letter, you will get those components. You can imagine what they are. So we'll get age, and we'll use exactly the same way to declare it. Okay, so now we have these two created so far, and we need to create the button now. So private JButton, as you can expect, and we will call this calculate. We'll calculate button, or let's call it calculate button. Okay, and private, we need a text area now to display the result. JTextArea, and we'll call it result text area. Okay, text area. So these are the components declared. We now declare the components. Like any other class, we need to create a constructor. And actually in the GUI, the constructor does lots of things. It is the one that will create the objects, it will create the layout, it will add the object to the frame, it will listen to what the user will do and things like that. So it's important to come with that. So what the constructor will be? our class called main, so the constructor is public main, as you would expect. And this is our constructor. We will do lots of things inside the constructor. First, we need to set the title of the page. So set title, okay, and we will call this title insurance calculator. Do you want to call it something else? We can call it anything. Okay. Then the next thing, we need to deal with how the application will deal with closing the application. When the user click on close the application, what will happen? Will it delete everything from the memory and close the application, or it will just hide that application, or it will hide it but release all the resources, memory and everything, and keep it in the back? So there are different ways to deal with the close operation, and the most default one is exit on close, we call it. So we'll look at this. So set default close operation. This is the way you set it. Yeah, I think I did. Default is, yeah, very good. So set default close operation. How we can going to set this one? What will be the default? So that few things you need to do here. First, you need to deal with the JFrame, because this is the object that represent your application. So JFrame is that. Then you need to select the close type, and you can see there are many of them. You can see a port, all bits, and many of it. So the one we need to do is exit on close. There are many. So exit on close, basically it will close everything, close the application. But there are others, as you can see. You can look at them here. For example, you have dispose on close, or do nothing on close, keep the application running and don't close it. So if you don't want the user to be able to close the application, use this one. This one will just hide it, and the many others. So let's use exit on close. So this will close basically the application. The next thing, we need to give it a size, set size. See all those sets, lowercase set, and then we'll do 300, 200. This is the size of our frame or our application. And the last thing, we need to set layout. And layout will be what? We'll use the flow layout. So how we do that? We say no, new flow layout. And this is a method, so you have to open and close bracket. So far we put some parameters. You gave a title to our application. We decided how we close it. We gave a size to the frame which we're using, and we also gave set up the layout of our application. If we run our application now, we will get almost nothing working or doing anything useful, because we didn't create our objects. Okay, we still didn't finish our constructor. So let's create those objects we need. First one, we declared a label, we call it age label. We need to create an object of this one. So it will be new JLabel. Okay, new JLabel. And what we will add here, we'll add the label we wanted to come. So we can say enter your age. Okay, semicolon. So now we created an object called JLabel, which we declared it there, and we created it here. And as you can see, what we did, we just gave it a label. And then we will need to declare the get text field, which this one here, and we will use new JTextField. This is the constructor of this one. And here you need to see how long is that text field. So we're just making it 10 to do. Okay? And then let's calculate the button. Let's create the button. Calculate button equal new JButton. And then we'll say what? Calculate. Okay? Semicolon. And we need to put the result area as well. So I'll say result text area. Is that the, yeah, that's exactly what we name it. Equal new JTextArea. Okay, and we're making it 520. This is high and the width of that text area. This created. Now, if I don't want to make this text area editable, I can add another thing here. Say set editable to false. Yeah, false. F lowercase. Yeah, exactly. So means that the user will not be able to edit the result area. They just come on the screen and that's it. You can make it. If you don't do that, it will be editable, but doesn't make any difference. Now we created those objects, but they are not added to the page. Again, if I run my application, I'll get nothing. I'll get just this error here because I missed T here. Okay. Otherwise, I'll still get hello world because there's nothing there. I didn't I created them, but they're not added to the frame. So I need now to add them to the frame. So I'll add them very simple. Add get label. I added them. You can add them when you create each one if you want, but you can add them all at the end. But let's just do it now. Age text field, exactly. So I'm adding them one by one. Add, what else? Calculate button, okay, good. And then add result text area. Now I added them. If I run, will I get anything? I will not get anything again. Why, Hamad, you keep doing this thing and we are not? This is age. What is get? This is age. Age label. Age. Yeah, that's good. Now I'm not getting anything there. Where is your graphical user interface, Hamad? You keep saying. Still because we didn't do what we're supposed to do. But let's see something. If you come to the main now, main object, we don't want this one. If you want to see the frame coming on the screen, we need to do this. We say new main, this is the constructor, yeah, dot set visible. Okay, and we'll say true. Now by adding this line here, let's see what will happen. Now our application started to come. So this is what we created so far. We created a label, I added it. We created a text field, I did a button. If I do anything here and click on this one here and click calculate, I'll get nothing because I didn't add any functionality to this. I didn't say to this button listen to anything, and I didn't create any calculations that need to run to get this to work. But so far we have done some useful things in our application, and we added those components. Now we need to do. We need to make that button listen to the actions. Let me get a little water and then we'll do that. Now, so we need the button to listen. So what the name of the button is calculate, but calculate button, and then we need to add to it, add action. We need to add action listener to it. Okay. Now this action listener is a little special, yeah, the way it works. We need to create an object here called action listener. Listener. Okay. We create that using that constructor. So we create action listener here, and inside that action listener we need to do things that it need to do. First, we need it to perform. We need a method that perform the action, and then by calling the method that we're going to create to do the calculation. We can write everything here that does the calculation. Better to have the method that does the calculation, checking the age and then displaying the result in another method. So we'll just call that method. Let's think maybe we'll call it calculate insurance. So let's say this is the function. We'll have public void action performed, when action is performed. And to do that, there is something called action event E that will take care of this. So when this one happen, this function run, it will call our functions that will do the calculation. So we'll say calculate, we'll come with the name for this function, calculate insurance. Yeah, that's the name we created. So now when the user click on the button calculate, it comes here. This one keep listening to the button calculate button. Once it clicked or the action being performed, it will call this method, which we will create to do the calculation for us. But this method, we will create it outside the constructor. Now, constructor is completed here. This is the last place for the constructor. See, the whole thing here is the constructor. So public void, we put some setting like the label, the layout, the size of the page. We decided how to close it. We created objects for those components we added there. We added them to the frame, and then we had this action listener there to listen to the button. All this done in the constructor. Now outside the constructor, now we can do whatever we want to do related to our calculations. And the method that we're going to use, we'll create a private method. We'll make it return nothing, void, and we will call it calculate insurance. I hope we are spelling it right, which basically this one is exactly the same. Here what we will do, we can, to avoid situation that the user maybe enter a text instead of a number, okay, to calculate the age and cause us problem, we need to use the exception handling that we spoke about before. We can do this without exception handling, it will work, but the right way is to use exception handling. I'll use try catch. So try these things will be performed if everything is fine. Catch, if things didn't go well, we will catch this error. Okay, this is, so in the catch we will be using something called, we know this, number format exception. That's the one, because we're expecting number, and we will be putting this here. We can complicate this one, but let me now just leave it like that. I'll say system out dot, we will fix it now after that, but let's just do it now to simplify the process. Okay, and we can explain later more, because it's not the main subject of our video now, but we can handle this one using the data coming and displaying it on another maybe text area, but leave that one there. So we try, if it doesn't work, we'll catch. Now in the try, there are things we need to do. First, we need to get the value of the age from the text field that the user entered. Now by default, the text field is text, not a number. So we need to find a way to convert that text to numbers. And here we'll use integer, because the age usually by years, so we don't care about how many months and things like that. So we'll create a variable int, we'll call it age, and this age now will make it store the data that the user entered into the text field. So we will want to convert it to integer, so we'll use integer. I think I've done this one in the previous class. And then we need to parse. Parse means convert, or read the text and come with something from that one. So we're reading the text field and converting that text there to numbers. So what we're reading now is the data in age text field. That's our text field. We want to get from that one. It has so many methods. One of it is get text, as you can see here. So this take the text from here, pass it to parse int take it, convert it to integer, and save it into age. So now age becomes integer. So that's what we did. Okay? That's what we need to do. Now we need to calculate insurance. So int, we'll call it insurance now, another variable, insurance. And we will use something really powerful and easy. Remember before we used if statement, if age more than or equal 60, then insurance equal 500, else insurance will be 300. Remember? Here we can do everything in just a very simple one line. So we can say age more than or equal 60. Now if age, without using the if statement, if age is more than or equal 60, then perform the following. 500 will be the insurance. Otherwise, the insurance will be 300. See how powerful this line? This line now replaced for us the if statement and all the complicated things. Now we have the value of insurance. Where we're going to display it, we need to display it in the result text area. So results text area, we will say to it, set your text, set text to what? We'll make it to set the text. Now we'll say whatever we want to say and set text. So we can say set text your insurance as AAD space plus we use insurance, which that variable, which I did write it correctly. So now that's it. So this one did calculate now the insurance. Here this line took the insurance, took the age value from the text field, convert it to integer. You see burst int, there is burst double and other integer, and then using this object integer store the value into age. Now age will take whatever number is coming there, if it's a number. If it's not a number, it will jump to the catch and display this one. Then insurance calculated using age more than or equal, this is wrong, more than or equal 60. If it's more than or equal 60, it will be 500. Otherwise, it will be 300. And then this value sent to the text area there. And then we are ready now to do. Now we have still one small issue, but let's see. Now our main functions actually just doing this, is not listening to anything, okay? So let's see if we run this application, will it work? Our application came, and let's say 30, and do this. Came perfect. 60, came this. It's working fine. It's working fine, but there's only one issue with it. It may crash if something goes wrong. Let's add some text anyway. This will not crash. So you put text. What happened? You can see there is a message here. We could have displayed the message on the screen here, and instead of displaying it here, we can add another text field, or we will make this text area display that result. So let's do that, and let's see how this will work. Stop this application. Now when there is an error, let's take this one here and say here, and we'll give a message to the user now saying, please enter a number. Okay. Now if we run our application and we come here and put it will say please enter a number. It's not going to display any error or anything. It just say that. Now we're handling the exception perfectly, and we put 54 will be 300. This was a very simple application, but gives you the idea. The idea is you need libraries to use. These are the libraries. You need this Java Swing. You need AWT, which again similar to Swing and has number of things. Swing is more user friendly and stronger. And then you need to create your class to extend the JFrame. Otherwise, you will not be able to do that. You need to use that library, which already in Swing and AWT. You need to create components, declare components here, and put them on, declare them, your buttons, your text, your image, everything. You can look at all the components in Swing and AWT, and then you start using it. There's so many nice components there. Once you do that, you need to create a constructor, which will be the same name as the class. And in the constructor, there are a few steps you need to do. First one, let's do this one. Set the frame title, size, and the way it will close. Also layout, yeah, layout, and the way it will close. So this section will do that. Set title, set default close operation, and then size and layout. Then here you need to create the components. Now we declare them up outside the constructor in the class. Now here we need to create them using new label, new text field, new button, new thing like that. And then add the components to the frame. Okay, and this will add the components to the frame. And here, configure the listener. Okay, the listener is important. You configure it because you need to decide which component on the page will be listening to the user input. Is it the button? Is it? And you can make any component, not only the button, any component you can make it listen to the users. And when user click on it, something will happen. Okay, so we're done with that. So the constructor is completed. Now you need to work on your actual method that will do the calculation. And here we have one, call it calculate insurance, which the listener will call as soon as the button is clicked. And here you just do your calculation. Use the normal if statement, whatever. Once you finish calculation, you display the result on the one of the component, and usually ActionArea or another text field or another label. You can use this to display the result of your calculation, or you can have even a dialog box coming on the screen, I think like that. And use try and catch to make sure you handle the error. And then in the main function, the only thing you need is new your constructor, and then you set it as a visible. Set visible true, so the frame will appear on the screen. I hope this was useful, and you will start now creating more applications.